Good morning, students. In our previous class, uh, in the video, I had sent you the link on in which we have completed our lesson number 3, mineral and power resources. That lesson of geography was completed in my previous video, and now question answers of this lesson, that is mineral and power resources. Question answers very short, short, long, distinguish between, and give reasons. These all I'm going to send you in the PDF form, in the group also, and in students portal also I will upload it. You can check it, you can do the work neatly in the notebook of this same lesson, lesson number 3, mineral and power resources. And the same lesson I'm going to ask you for notebook assessment also. That is only this lesson number 3, you have to show me the work in the PDF form. You can upload this PDF on the work submission, the link I had given you earlier, the work submission link I had given you earlier. On that link only, same link, you will make the PDF of question answers of lesson number 3, mineral and power resources of geography, and then upload it. Clear? Whatever given in the PDF. And do the work neatly, because notebook assessment will be done on the basis of this lesson number 3 of geography only. I hope everything is clear. If any doubt, you can ask me uh, through call also and through WhatsApp also. Now for today, we are going to start with civics lesson number 5, that is judiciary. Now what is judiciary? As you are aware, in the 7th classes, you have learned that there are three main organs of the government. And those three main organs of the government are legislature, executive, and the third one is judiciary. So this is the third organ, judiciary, which sees that whatever laws which are made by the legislature, which are executed by the executive, and those laws are uh, followed by the citizens of the country or not. So the law process is taken into consideration by this judiciary. So in detail about this third organ of the government, we are going to read in this lesson. Now, first and foremost thing, uh, everybody is clear about the rule of law. Now, rule of law, what does the rule of law means? It means that the laws are applying equally to all the persons, and that certain sets of fixed procedures need to be followed when law is violated. That means what is rule and law? Everybody is clear about this rule of law means that each and every law which is made in the parliament is uh, followed, should be followed by the citizens of the country, and they are applied equally for each and every person. But a fixed procedure is also there which need to be followed when the law is violated. When these rule of law, if the law is passed in the parliament, that had to be followed. And if these laws are not followed properly, they are violated by any person, any group of community, or anybody, then a certain procedure is there to be followed to punish them. To enforce this law, rule of law, we have a judicial system. And now to enforce this rule of law, which is that all persons should follow these rules and law, and these laws apply equally for each and everyone. So a special judicial system is that, and that is the judicial system consists of the procedures of courts that the citizen can approach when the law is violated. When any citizen of the country sees or believes that the law is violated, not followed, or his fundamental rights are violated, then they can easily approach these courts to get the judgment. As the organ of the state, the judiciary plays a crucial role in functioning of the India's democracy. Means judiciary plays a very important role in the proper functioning of the administration. It can play this role only because it is independent. And why this judiciary can play an important role in Indian democratic system? It plays an important role in Indian democratic system when it is independent, when judiciary is free and fair in giving the decisions. Nobody is there to interfere in making of the decisions or in giving the decisions by the judiciary. Now, what does an independent judiciary means? This is an important question which arises in our mind, that what does the independent judiciary means? When we are talking about judiciary, when we are talking again and again about that judiciary should be free and fair to give the judgment, then how the judiciary can give the judgment in free and fair manner if if the this system, judiciary system, is independent? Then is there any connection between the courts of your area and the supreme courts of in New Delhi? In this chapter you are going to answer these questions, that really we can say that yes, in our country, in our democratic country, the judiciary has an independent uh, process to work upon, and nobody is there to interfere in the decisions, in taking the decisions of the judiciary. Now, what is the role? The first topic of this lesson: what is the role of the judiciary? Now, the question arises that what all things come under the process of judiciary, what all things to be considered under the judiciary, what is the role, main function of the judiciary. So courts take decision on the very large number of issues, as we are aware about this, that many issues are created, many disputes are there among people. Only there are many disputes among people and the government, there is a dispute. So among government, central government, state governments, there are many issues and disputes may arises between states. Disputes can arise. So all these decisions, these number of issues, the decision can be taken in the courts, and they can decide that no teacher can beat. These courts only decide that no teacher can beat a student, or about the sharing of the river water between states, that if the sharing of river water is there between the state, any dispute arises among these two states for the river water, it can be sought out by the interference of courts only. If they will go to courts, they can surely get the uh, disputes solved, or they can punish the people for the particular crimes. These courts are there to punish the people for violating the laws, for a particular, for committing a particular crime. Now, broadly speaking, the work that the judiciary does can be divided into the following. Now, what work, what functions judiciary does, it can be broadly divided into three categories. First category is about dispute resolution. Any type of disputes, any type of controversies arising between citizens among themselves, or between citizens or the government, or between two states of the government, or between the disputes can be between center and state government also. So any kind of controversy, any kind of dispute, any kind of issue raised, which the people think that it should be sought out, the decision should be taken in free and fair manner, then they can reach the judicial system. That means they can reach to any of the courts to sort out their disputes. Second thing is judicial review. As a final interpreter of the Constitution, the judiciary has also the power of striking down the particular laws passed by the Parliament. If any laws which are passed by the Parliament, and if judiciary thinks that that law can violate the structure, basic structure of the, it can harm the basic structure of the Constitution, then as a final interpreter. So, what? Who is the final interpreter of the Constitution? The judicial system is the final interpreter of the Constitution. So, it is the duty of our judicial system to take into consideration about all those laws, all those particular laws which are passed by the Parliament, but which are little bit controversial, which can harm the basic structure of the Constitution, which can create any type of conflict, confusion among the people. Then the judicial review can be taken. Means the judicial system can take those laws into consideration to see into those laws which can harm the constitution, or which can harm the peace of the country, to see again to those laws. So that is called judicial review, to view again those laws which are passed by the parliament, but they can harm the basic structure of the constitution. Next, another function is upholding the laws and enforcing fundamental rights. Another function of judicial system is to uphold the laws and enforce the fundamental rights. That means every citizens of India can approach the Supreme Court or the High Court, any of the court they can go if they believe that their fundamental rights have been violated. Means anybody, common person can also go to the court, either to the Supreme Court, either to the High Court. They can go peacefully and freely if they want any type of judgment or any type of solution to their problems, and if they find that their fundamental rights have been violated. Now example is given of the 7th class book, that is Hakim Sheikh. If you remember the story of Hakim Sheikh, an agricultural laborer who fell from the running train and injured himself, and whose condition got worse. Why? Because several hospitals, one after the other hospital, Hakim Sheikh was taken, but the condition was becoming worse because the hospitals were refusing to admit Hakim Sheikh. And hearing this case to the Supreme Court, ruled that Article 21, which provides every citizen of the fundamental right to life. Now, Article 21, according to Article 21, every citizen of the fundamental right to every citizen is provided the fundamental right to life. That means they have, each and every citizen of the country has the right to health. And in this case of Hakim Sheikh, who was taken to various hospitals, several hospitals, so that proper treatment can be given. But those hospitals refused to admit Hakim Sheikh, and therefore directed the West Bengal government to pay compensation, means to pay the money, whatever loss, whatever damage for the health condition, or whatever harm was done uh, on for the Hakim Sheikh, it will all be repaid. The money will be given back for the injury and loss by the government. So that is called as compensation for the loss suffered, as well as to come up with the blueprint of primary health care with particular reference to the treatment of the patient during the emergency. During the emergency, whatever treatment was to be provided to that particular patient and it was not provided, and due to that only the condition became worse of that patient, and thus all that compensation, all that money to be provided by the government, so that proper treatment will be given to Hakim Sheikh. Whatever expenditure was done, it can be given repaid back. Now, this picture is about the Supreme Court, which was established on 26th of January 1950. And this is the day of 26th January 1950. This is the day when India became a republic. And like its procedures, also the Federal Court of India, that was established from 1937 to 1949. It was earlier located in Chamber of Princes in the Parliament House, and then finally it moved to the present building of on Mathura Road, which is in New Delhi in 1958. Coming to the next topic, what is an independent judiciary? Now, the question arises in our mind that what does the really independent judiciary means? Now, imagine a situation which a powerful politician has encroached on the land belonging to your family. Now, the imagination is given that you have to imagine if a powerful person, that can be a politician also, has encroached on the land belonging to your family. That means had entered to your area forcefully. Encroach means to enter to your area which was belonging to your family, and has forcefully entered to your area. Within this judicial system, the politician has the power to appoint and dismiss the judge from his office. When you take this case to the court, the judge is clearly partial to the politician. And if this is the situation, this is just, you have to imagine the situation. If that area which is belonging to you have been forcefully taken by the politician, and that politician had a great influence in appointment or dismissing the judges, then what do you think? You will get the uh, true judgment on your behalf, or you that judgment will be given to the in favor of the politician? Yes, if the politician had the power to dismiss and appoint the judge, then definitely the judge will favor the politician. Thou politician is wrong in his or her manner, but then also the judge will favor the politician only, just because the politician had the right to dismiss the judge. So, in one sense, the judge will have the fear that if he or she is not giving the judgment in favor of the politician, might be the politician will dismiss that particular judge. So, the control that the politician holds over the judge does not allow for the judge to take an independent decision, and thus the judge will not be able to take the free and fair judgment on behalf of on hearing this whole case, just because the politician has a great influence for the judge. And this lack of independence would force the judge to make all judgments in favor of the politician. And this, we I already made you clear that due to this influence of that particular politician, the judgment will not be at all free and fair and not be in your favor, but the judge will favor the politician for this situation. Although we often hear of rich and powerful people in India trying to influence the judicial process, the Indian constitution protects against this kind of situation by providing for the independence of judiciary. Now, in India, we can surely say that in India, independence of judiciary is there. This type of situation will not arise just because here independent judiciary is present. One aspect of this independence of is the separation of powers. Now, one important feature why in our country independence of judiciary is there, just because of the separation of power. Now, what is this separation of power? This separation of power you have already read in the lesson number 1, the key features of the constitution, in which you have read about other branches of the other organs of the government also, that legislature and executive is also there, but they cannot interfere in the judgment of the judiciary. Legislature has its own power, executive has its own power. They cannot interfere in the work of judiciary. And thus we can say that in India, independence of judiciary is there. The courts are not under the government and do not act on their behalf. So these courts, High Court, Supreme Court, or the courts at the district or local level, they are not under the influence of any of the government, and that is why they cannot act according to the government influence on. For the above separation to work well, it is also crucial that all judges in the High Court as well as the Supreme Court are appointed with a little interference from these other branches of the government. That means High Court and Supreme Court. The judges of these courts are appointed very little interference of the government branches is there, and that is why they are the means it is very important that the High Court and the Supreme Court judges are appointed without any interference of the government officers or any government offices. Once appointed to these office, it is also very difficult to remove a judge. Now, once a judge has been appointed, whether the judge of High Court is there, whether it is the judge of Supreme Court or the local courts, if once the judge is appointed on the seat, it is very difficult to remove that particular judge from the seat. And it is the independence of judiciary only that allows the courts to play central role in ensuring that there is no misuse of power by the legislature and the executive. And just because of the independence of judiciary, now no influence of the is there on for the judiciary. Nobody has any interference, and that is why the judiciary allows the courts also to play a central role and ensures that legislature and executive does not make any misuse of their power. It also plays a crucial role, important role in protecting the fundamental rights. So another important function of judiciary is is to protect the fundamental rights of the citizens, because anyone can approach the courts if they believe that their right has been violated. If any person thinks that the fundamental right is being violated, any of the fundamental right is violated, then they are free to reach any of the court to uh, get the fundamental rights. Now, what is the structure of the court? Now, coming to the structure of the court, there are three different levels of the court. We can say that there are three main levels of the court, and there are several courts at the lower level, while there is only one at the apex level. So at the lower level of the this is a structure of courts, there are many courts, and they are called as subordinates or district courts also. And these are usually at the district or tehsil level. And in towns, they are here many kinds of cases. They also hear many kinds of cases, not a particular type of case, but many types of cases could be heard at the district level. So district courts are also called as subordinate courts. Each state Now, each state is divided into districts that are presided over by the district judge. So now each state is also divided into different districts, different provinces, and these districts are under the authority of district judge. So in this way, subordinate courts, we can also say that subordinate courts that is the district courts are there, in which uh, the states are divided into different districts, and where the district courts, the head is district judge. Each state has the high court, which is the highest court of the state, and which is the highest court in the state. The high court is there in the highest court, which is the highest court in the state. And at the top is the Supreme Court, and at the topmost level is the Supreme Court, and it is located in the New Delhi, and is presided over by the Chief Justice of India. So the lower bottom level, it is the local courts, the subordinate courts, or the district courts. Then the high court is there at the state level, and the topmost is the Supreme Court, which is located in New Delhi, and it is presided the meeting and it is seen by the Chief Justice of India. The decisions over there is taken by the Chief Justice of India. The made by the Supreme Court are binding on all other courts in India, and whatever decisions are made in the Supreme Court, they are followed. Binding on all over other courts in India means they are followed in all other courts of India also. Now, next, High Court was first established in the in sorry, the High Court was first established in three presidency cities. Now, where was the High Court first established? It was first established in three presidency cities, and these presidency cities were Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. And this you have already uh, means known when we were reading the history lessons. So the three presidency cities were there at that time, and they were Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. And it was established in the year 1862. So when was this High Court established? It was established in 1862. You can underline this. So the High Court of Delhi came up in 1966, and in Delhi, this High Court of Delhi came up in 1966. Currently, there are 24 high courts. Currently, there are 24 high courts, while many states have their own high courts also. Punjab and Haryana share a common high court, at Chandigarh, and the four northeastern states of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh have the common high court at the Guwahati. Means few states are having the common high court, whereas most of the states are having their own high court. And some high courts have benches in branches in other parts of the state also for greater accessibility. And this is the High Court in Madras. This picture shows the High Court in Madras. Are these different levels of courts connected to each other? So there are different levels of courts, as we have seen. That is courts present at the subordinate courts, that is the district level courts, local courts, then High Court, then Supreme Court. So these different level of courts are connected to each other. Yes, they are. They are connected to each other. In India, we have integrated judicial system, means connected, well connected judicial system. That means that the decision made by the high courts are binding on the lower courts. As in the previous page, we have seen that whatever decisions are made or taken by the Chief Justice in the Supreme Court, that has to be followed by the other courts of high courts also, other courts also. And the same way, whatever decisions made in the higher court, that is to be followed by the lower courts also. So that means the integrated judicial system is there. Well connected judicial system is there in India. Another way to understand this integration is through the appellate system that exists in India. Now, what is this appellate system? This means that the person can appeal to higher court if they believe that the judgment passed by the lower court is not just. That means if what is this appellate system? If a person thinks that whatever decisions given by the lower court, uh, if that person is not satisfied with the decisions of the lower court, then that person can move to the high court for further fair judgment. So that is called an appellate system. Let us understand what we mean by the appellate system by tracking a case. Now, through this case, we can say that what we will really understand what does the appellate system really means. Now, it is the case of Lakshman Kumar and others from the lower courts to the Supreme Court. Now, the case is given of Lakshman Kumar, which had first made an appeal for in the lower court, and then afterwards, when he was not satisfied with the judgment of the lower court, he moved to the Supreme Court also. Then in February 1980, Lakshman Kumar married 20 years old Sudha Goel, and they lived in the flat in Delhi with Lakshman's brother and their families. So this is the situation given that Lakshman Kumar married 20 years old Sudha Goel, and they were living peacefully in the flat in Delhi with the brother and the family members also of Lakshman Kumar was there. On 2nd December 1980, Sudha died in hospital due to burns. Now, this was the injury made to Sudha, who was the wife of Lakshman Kumar, and she died in the hospital just because of the burns. Because of the burns means she was burnt. Her family filed a case in court. Her family means Sudha's family filed a case in the court. When this case was heard in the trial court, four of her neighbors were called in the witness. They started that the night of December 1, they had heard Sudha screaming and had forced their way into Lakshman's flat. And there they saw Sudha standing with her sari in flames. And they extinguished the fire by wrapping Sudha in a gunny bag. Gunny bag means a type of, we can say, jute bag and a blanket. Sudha told them that her mother-in-law Shakuntala had poured kerosene oil on her and that her husband Lakshman had lit the fire. Now this was the case that they were first of all Lakshman Kumar married Sudha, and after that it was seen that Sudha died in the hospital, and when Sudha died in the hospital, the case was of burns, and her family, Sudha's family, filed a case to the trial court, and the witness was the neighbors, the witness of Sudha's uh, getting the burn. The neighbors were the witness, and they had told that when they entered, when they had heard the voice of Sudha, screaming of the Sudha, they entered the flat, and there they had seen that Sudha was standing with the sari in flames. And these neighbors only tried to extinguish, to put out the fire by wrapping Sudha in a bag, gunny bag, and by putting the blanket on Sudha. And Sudha told them to the neighbors that the mother-in-law, who was mother-in-law of Sudha, that is Shakuntala. Shakuntala was the mother-in-law, that means the mother of Lakshman Kumar, had poured kerosene. What was the uh, work Shakuntala done in burning Sudha? That is, she was pouring the kerosene oil, and the husband Lakshman was lighting the fire. So during the trial, the members of Sudha family and the neighbors stated that Sudha has been subjected to torture by her in-laws, and they were demanding more cash, a scooter, a fridge on the birth of the first child. So as soon as they were having the first child born, these family members, the Lakshman uh, family members, were asking for the cash, even the scooter and fridge. They were demanding from Sudha's family. As a part of their defense, Lakshman and his mother stated that Sudha's sari had accidentally caught fire. On other part, the Lakshman was, and his mother was saying that Sudha sari catches fire accidentally, and they were not responsible for that. And while she was heating the milk, and when this sari caught the fire of it was caught fire when Sudha was heating the milk. And on the basis of this and other evidences, that trial court convinced Lakshman, his mother Shakuntala, and his brother-in-law Subhash Chandra as sentenced to all three of them to death. So the trial case first uh, convicted means the trial court had given the decision that Shakuntala, Lakshman's mother, and the brother-in-law, that is brother-in-law of Sudha was Subhash Chandra. They all the three of them were responsible for the death of Sudha due to burn case, and they all were sentenced to the death by the trial court. Then in November 1983, the three accused went to the High Court. These three of them, that is Lakshman, Shakuntala, and Subhash Chandra, they three of them went to the High Court to appeal against the verdict. To appeal against the verdict means to appeal against the judgment given by the trial court. Verdict means the judgment given by the trial court. The High Court, after hearing the agreement of all the lawyers, decided that Sudha had died due to the accidental fire caused by the kerosene stove. Now, first of all, in trial court, what was the decision given? The three of them, Shakuntala, brother-in-law, and Lakshman, were sentenced to death and were found guilty of giving for the death of Sudha. But when these three had gone to High Court after the appeal, these three of them, uh, on hearing the argument of all the lawyers, uh, the court decided that Sudha had died due to the accident, and Shakuntala, brother-in-law, plus Lakshman were not found guilty. Acquitted means they were not found guilty of the accident. And you may remember the photo essay on the women's movement in your class 7th book. You read about how in 1980s the women's group across the country spoke out against dowry deaths, and they protested against the failure of the courts to bring the cases to justice. And above High Court judgment deeply troubled women, and they held demonstrations and filed a separate appeal against the High Court decision in the Supreme Court through the Indian Federation of Women Lawyers. In the same way, now these three of them were not found guilty in case of Sudha's death. So now they moved to the Sudha's family moved to the Supreme Court in 1985. The Supreme Court heard this appeal against the acquittal of Lakshman and the two members of his family. Now, the case was in the hands of Supreme Court by the family members of Sudha. The Supreme Court heard the arguments of the lawyers and reached the decision that was the different from that of the High Court. That means in High Court they were not found guilty, but now Supreme Court had given the decision that three of them are found guilty. They are responsible for the death of Sudha, and they found Lakshman and his mother guilty but acquitted the brother-in-law Subhash because they did not have enough evidence against him. Now, um, Lakshman, Sudha's husband, and Sudha's mother-in-law. They both of them were found guilty that yes, they were responsible for the death, and the Supreme Court had given the decision that the uh, they were found guilty in the Sudha's death case. But the brother-in-law Subhash was not found guilty, was not responsible for Sudha's death because there was no evidence against this brother-in-law Subhash. So the Supreme Court decided to send the accused to the prison for life. So these accused persons, they were uh, they were uh, uh, going to the now as per the decision of Supreme Court, they were now going to the prison for means life imprisonment. Now this is the picture you're given about the subordinate courts. Is The subordinate court is more commonly known as meant by the different names, and these include the trial court or the court of district judge, the additional session judge, the chief judicial magistrate, the metropolitan magistrate, civil judge. Alongside in the photograph of the district court is in Raipur and Chhattisgarh. This is given. So these subordinate courts are known by the different names. So till today, here only I come to an end. In our next class, video uploading will be there. Then or live class will be there. I will give the link if video uploading will be there. Tomorrow I will give you the link. I will send you the link. Please go through that link, open that link, and you will find the remaining part of this lesson to be explained, and you can understand that. And if any doubt, you can ask me in the live classes whenever we will have, or you can call me also to clarify your doubts. Thank you.